Hi there, it's Stephanie from Crafting in the Rain. Today we're doing a tutorial about how to weld your script letters in Cricut Design Space. This is a very important part of using script fonts because it makes them look right and connected instead of all separate. If you watched my previous video about how to adjust the spacing with your different text blocks, then a lot of this will be pretty familiar to you, but we're going to talk about a couple of specific things that relate to the script fonts. So let's get started. You can see here, this is what happens when I just type out the word. And this is the Wanderlust font. So it's one of the Cricut script fonts. Okay, so the way we're going to do this is you type in the word that you want, go to Advanced and ungroup to letters. And then just use your mouse and click and drag to bring these letters all in closer together. And let's zoom in a little bit so you can see exactly what I'm doing. I want to make sure that the little tails that come off overlap into the next letter, but not too much. So each letter gets brought in and connected to the letter next to it. Okay, and then I like to zoom back out and just make sure that everything looks like it's natural. Nothing is up too high or too low or too close together or too far apart. With everything in the right spot, then I will connect all of these letters and hit weld. I'm going to show you how that's different than using attach. Okay, if we select all these letters and we hit attach, each letter is going to cut out individually. So let's come back in here again. So even though they're overlapped, you can see there's this black outline on each of these letters, so that you're going to have cut lines there. And you don't want that. You want this to cut out in all one piece, whether it's vinyl or cardstock or iron-on, you want this all connected. So we undo our attach. And then when we hit weld, now you can see in here, there's no lines separating all the letters. So the cut is going to come along the outside here and along the outside here, and each letter is going to be truly connected to the one next to it. Okay, now there are a couple of problems that you may come up against. So that one worked all nice and neat. Sometimes there are some issues, meaning this one here is the Merlot font. And then when I welded everything together, I just didn't really like how this word looks. Sometimes I use the Merlot font, and depending on what the word is, it comes out looking great. But just because of the E and the A and the U all together, it just feels like the spacing is a little funny and it's almost a little bit hard to read. Is that an A or a Q, right? So I would not leave this in my final project. I would pick another font to use. I would not leave it like this and just scoot the letters in a little bit and then not connect them. Because in my opinion, if you don't like the way that a script font looks when it's welded, then you actually don't like that font. So just pick a different font that gives you the look that you want and you still like it when it's welded together, and don't try to work around it by leaving the letters unconnected, because that just looks funny. All right, so let's get rid of that one. Okay, and now let's work with this one a little bit. This is the font Pen and Ink. And this one came together really nicely, so let's play with this one and let me show you a couple of problems that you might run into. So we're going to start this out the same way, ungroup to letters. And move each letter over so that it overlaps with the tail. Okay, so when I kind of take a step back from this one, I feel like the line goes a little bit funny, like if I were writing this on lined paper, something doesn't seem quite right. So I'm going to just adjust where some of these letters are, and it's okay if the shape of the word has some movement in it when you're done, but you want it to feel natural. So I'm going to bring the I up a little bit higher. F is probably fine there. Okay, so now that seems a little better to me. It's not an exact line at the bottom of every letter, but it's close, and it feels like this might be the way that someone would actually write this word, so it looks good. The one thing you have to decide here, since the B does not have a tail coming off of it, you need to decide if you want it to be touching a little bit. And the only reason that I would suggest that is if maybe you were going to be cutting this out of cardstock and you wanted it to be all connected, then you could do that there. But otherwise, I'd say give it a little bit of space. If you're cutting this out of vinyl or iron-on, and that is going to look right on your final project. Okay, so let's say that we weld this all together. Okay, and that one comes out really nicely. Now let me show you another problem that you might have. So now I have another word here in another font, and I'm going to show you another problem that you may run into and how to fix it. We ungroup to letters and scoot everything over. And when I weld, then the inside of my D got filled in. This can be really frustrating, but it's a really easy fix. We're actually going to undo the weld, and what happened is, even though we can't see it, the tail of the E overlapped into that space. So we can try moving the D back a little bit. Okay, so that fixed that problem. That doesn't always work though, and if you find that that's not working for you, that you scoot things away just a little bit and it still fills in the hole, then you can just make your word really, really large. And then you can see a little bit closer. You've got a little more precision as you move the letters around. And then you can weld. And that should keep all of these spaces in the letters open. And then you can just size it back down to the size that you want, but you still have the insides of your letters that will cut out. So I hope that's all been really helpful. If you have any questions about using script fonts or welding them like this so that they look right, then let me know, and thanks for watching.